All right, it's exactly 12 noon. Hi, Bob. We see you. You're like in one of those movies that you're going through. And now we're going to go surprise them. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I guess we're going to have a small group, and that's okay with me. I am never worried about having a small group for one of our classes. So let's just start. What do you want to gain out of today's session? What would be the most valuable thing out of today's session? And you may have to unmute yourself and just, if you wiggle your mouse, your little microphone with a slash through it will come on.
I do like how they're very simple to access when you're doing, hang on a second, Debbie, let me.
Awesome. Anybody else? Patrice, welcome. What would you like to get out of today's session?
Just some more, I need to get into action.
Okay.
So I've been on the calls. I'm trying to navigate with the homeschooling and my learning and everything, and then just trying to schedule to actually make calls. And so I want to get into action. My youngest was on a Zoom call today, which has freed me up tremendously. So I've got my list and I'm making my calls, and so I'm excited to get a plan and get into action.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to just dig right in then. If anyone else wants to contribute, this is a very small group, so either raise your hand or just like literally physically raise your hand, and that way well, I'll stop talking rather than, because I can see you, but I can't see the screen controls when my screen is up. So that'll help, and I'll stop and take any questions. So welcome. And the reason why I like to really break this down, who has seen this wonderful, I'm pointing at my screen, this wonderful diagram recently? Who has seen this? Just about everywhere.
I have.
And how many of you are like, I get it, but I'm kind of confused? Anybody?
What's that?
Go ahead, Mindy. Anybody looking at this and feeling a little confused? No? All right. Well, then I guess we're done. So
There's a ton of feedback.
You're getting a ton of feedback from here, or?
Yeah, like I'm hearing your voice a few times at the same time.
Okay. Well, if everyone can put their themselves on mute, and then just unmute it when you want to speak. And how's that? Is that better? Because I can take my headset off if the headset is causing the problem.
Nope, that's good.
We're good? Okay, fantastic. So what I usually like to do is dig into the lead generation model. And the first thing is everything we're going to talk about today can be found on pages 133 to 152 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So how many of you, just by a show of hands, have this book? Yes. So definitely anything that we reference today can be found on these pages. We've just updated some of the artwork from the good old days. So the first thing is, I used to title this class Understanding the 8x8, the 12x12, and the 33 touch. And one of the biggest changes to the MREA lead model is the fact that they have changed one of the concepts. So the first concept is, it is 19 to connect to the leads in your database. And a lead is someone who you have the right to at least have a one-way conversation with. So it would include 4 touches, which they suggest as a quarterly phone call, 12 touches as a monthly email newsletter, market report, or video. And this is where the neighborhood smart plan really comes in handy. So at the very least, put every single person that you have in command as a person of any interest on a neighborhood nurture smart plan. And then 2 touches, which would be direct mail or a calendar magnet or some kind of CMA for their particular home. And then 1 touch would be an annual event, a party, a movie screening, or a get together. So that's your 19 touches in a year. So let's have a little conversation around the 19 touches. Is this,
Well, not to sound stupid, but how do you set it up in Command?
when you are in your contact, you would simply go to the neighborhood nurture smart plan. It is already preset for you, and take that person and put them on a neighborhood smart plan. And what's really fabulous with that is, unfortunately, I don't have control. Only Bob has control. So it's making me a little nutty because I see it come up every once in a while. So you would just, in the little I within Command, you can just hit neighborhood. You can watch a little quick video on how to do it. Does that help?
I will find it. Thank you.
Perfect. And I'm sure that our tech committee, or at least Donnie, does everyone know how to use your tech hub?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, I don't know if Bob is still listening, but Anna is listening. Anna, could you please put a link to Tech Hub in the Facebook private group with the password? Shake your head yes, Anna, if you heard me. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So is that okay if we keep moving on? Because I don't want to lose our
Yes.
momentum, but I don't want, please ask exactly questions like this, because we only have 13 people on here. I want all of you to walk away with more detail and the ability to get more information.
Lisa,
So-
I have a question.
Okay, sure.
More specifically, I've created a smart plan touch for the next 2 months and placed people on what I'm calling a COVID smart plan.
Okay.
Do you have any recommendations on how many touches is too little or too much with things going on? Is once a week all right? Or
I think you risk being put in someone's spam folder unless you are delivering value with every touch right now. So just, I would definitely put someone you trust on the plan. And once you have that person on the plan, you'd be able to test them, call them and say, hey, did you like that? Did that provide value for you? The biggest thing also is I put myself on a neighborhood smart plan. I'm a realtor with access to MLS. And when that thing arrives in my email each month, I still look at it. It's still awesome. It's just right for my own neighborhood. I mean, the cobbler's children have no shoes, right? We don't go in and do a CMA for our own houses that often, and it's automatically delivered for me. I'm thinking if I feel like it's valuable and I'm in the business, certainly a lay person is definitely going to appreciate that. So at the very, very least today, put yourself in command, set yourself up on a neighborhood smart plan. If you don't trust me, put yourself on the plan and just see how you feel about the value. And I appreciate, Nicole, that you made your own smart plan. You're light years ahead of most of us probably on this call. However, that neighborhood smart plan is pretty outstanding. So I would absolutely make sure everyone in my database is on that. And that gives you 12 touches a year right there. All right, then the next thing is 36 to convert. So now you're a contact, and a contact is a person who's actually establishing a two-way conversation with you, and they've really given you explicit permission to keep interacting with them. So these people get 4 telephone calls, they get 26 touches, and this may answer your question as well, Nicole. They get bi-weekly email offerings with some type of information that they would consider valuable. They get 2 touches with events or get-togethers, and then 4 touches with mail. And so we've increased some of the things in the 19 program. All right, before we leave this page, what are your thoughts? Is this making it more confusing, or is this making it a little bit more simple for you?
I have a question. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, I can, Kathy. Go ahead.
Okay. Is there any way when we set up the schedule of what we're going to do, can we set it up so it goes on our calendar, like what I have on my phone? Let's say I set up to call somebody or a follow-up call. Is there any way to do that?
The only way to do that, and I'm going to defer to our tech committee to maybe help you a little further on that. I believe what you need to do is connect to your calendar and then put yourself on the plan. So put yourself on that same plan,
Mm-hmm.
connect that plan to your calendar. And also, if you have command connected to your calendar, you will get reminders to call people. And I think that's the one you're really looking for. So
Right.
you will get the reminder to call them on your calendar as long as your calendar is connected within command.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Also,
Great
if,
question. Great question. Don?
yeah, I'm hearing a feedback here off of Debbie's. Sorry.
I guess you guys are too close to each other. Yeah. Remember, 6
Well,
feet
they
apart.
are married.
6 feet apart. I don't care if you're married. I'm sleeping in separate bedrooms. I don't want anybody sick.
So that works, Kathy. If you just set someone up in command and put them in a 8x8, for example, or a long term, you'll get flagged every single day. You're supposed to do something with that. It's already set up that way.
Flagged where though? I want it to be on my
It goes to
phone,
your
on my
email.
calendar.
You log on every day to command, and then from
Okay.
command, you'll see what you're supposed to do when you go click on the home button. And
Yeah, but my
my
question was like Lisa answered is I want it on my calendar because I'm not good about going on command and websites. And if it's on my daily calendar, I'll do it. So I'll just see about connecting my, like you're talking about, to my calendar.
Perfect.
All right. All right, next slide. We're going to go ahead and go on. So here we are, and I am the only person that's kind of confused when I look at this diagram, allegedly. You all are like, hey, we got it. No need to go into it. So this might be a waste of time, but hopefully we're going to all come out of this a little stronger. So let's start with prospecting and marketing. What is the difference between prospecting and marketing? As you look at this slide, what would be what you would say the differences are in prospecting versus marketing?
Prospecting may be personal contact or personal touch versus marketing would be general.
Yes. You guys can all see the slide, right? We
Yes.
used to, this is something that has definitely changed since the original MREA. That's why this is really great that you guys are on the call. Originally, we used to be marketing based and prospecting enhanced. So back in the day when I got my real estate license in 1994, we sent out a lot of postcards. We did a lot of newsletters. We advertised in the newspaper. We sent a lot of direct mail. And then we made the phone calls as a backup to that, hopefully. I mean, a lot of agents didn't. They just did the marketing part of it and waited and caught. We didn't have the internet in those days. So now we really need to be more proactive and do more prospecting. And that's why you'll see a lot of your top teams are very focused on for sale by owners and expireds. And I know, Heather, you're on the call and I know you got kids at home, but if you could unmute yourself and just tell us, I know you do some calling of expireds. How's that going right now?
Honestly, I haven't really been doing it too much. The team has been doing it. I'm trying to be a full-time realtor and a full-time teacher, apparently. So
Yeah, awesome.
it is so awesome. I think all teachers need raises on side
Yes, they do.
Here, here.
real big ones. But people have been answering, just trying to field their fears, and just like I'm on the shift call with you in the morning, Lisa, and just kind of letting them know that we understand, but it's going to be okay, and people are still buying houses, buying and selling.
Excellent. So prospecting is time intensive. That's why Gary Keller talks about these 3 hours a day that we need to lead generate, because even if you're just contacting your sphere of influence, it still takes time. Marketing can become a trap, mostly because it's money intensive. And a lot of people have been spending a lot of money on marketing on the internet. And one of the things we're covering in Shift right now is to really look at every expense and make sure that they're delivering quality leads that you are converting to business. Sometimes we think it's a good lead generation source because a ton of things come in our email, but do they actually pop out as true transactions? When you look, does everyone know how to pull your production for the last however long you've been in the business? If not, send me an email, lisaspencer@kw.com, and I will walk you through, we'll make an appointment to walk you through how to find your production. And I want you to check off every sale that you've had and where it came from. The results sometimes are astonishing. You've been paying for realtor.com and you got 3 closings from realtor.com. You got 30 from your sphere of influence, and you haven't even talked to your people because you're so busy running down these silly leads that you get online. So does that make sense to everyone? Your heads? Yeah, take a look at your production, and if we need to do that together, just contact me. All right, so I'm going to leave this slide up for a little bit, and this is where we prospect, where we market, and what things are both. So I'm going to suggest that if you're doing anything in the marketing only column, that you kind of stop. These things cost too much money, and I really would rather see you stick with things that are either both or are strictly prospecting based. So when I say that, how do you feel about that? Did anybody have an aha idea by looking at this chart? Does anyone see something on there that like, I didn't think of that. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
My first concern, Lisa, is the social media is on the marketing side, and that's where, everybody says you should be, and focus completely on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm surprised social media isn't in both, but
Well,
thank you
I think It's saying online advertising. It's under online advertising. So you don't necessarily have to pay for your leads in social media if you work your sphere. So that would be prospecting. Marketing would be paying for Facebook ads.
Yeah, I think we should probably, if you're going to invest anywhere, it would be probably on Facebook ads. So thank you for pointing that out, Kathy. And let's move online advertising into a both column when it comes to social media. I don't even think I'd say online advertising. Let's just say social media, that we would move social media into something that is both prospecting and marketing. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Do I need the slide up? Just give me a thumbs up if I can go. Okay, Patrice, what did you want to say? You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I just started, and Don referred to this on one of our calls last week. I just started a direct mail campaign in my neighborhood farming, and my objective was to do it every month. And I'm hesitant. I'm not sure what to do, whether I should not do it the next month and scale back on that and wait and do something else. I mean, I am getting out and walking every single day now and meeting them that way, but I don't know whether I should continue to do that particular thing or not.
I think that's a personal choice. If you have the reserves to continue it, I would say probably finish your plan.
Okay.
If you don't have the reserves, then don't.
Okay. I gotta evaluate that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It's really, you could probably make some headway with it, but I don't want you to dig into your reserves. All right, next. So focus your efforts. Where did your business come from? Again, we have that way to look at it. Does anyone know what your top 5 sources are off the top of your head?
My daughter at the Pinellas County,
Awesome.
my husband at his
Excellent.
work,
Open houses.
Okay, so open houses, that's going to be
Not
a
right
little
now.
dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
dicey right now,
Yeah.
but very
could-
good. And
You can do
and,
virtual.
Yeah, do new virtual open houses. I think Dawn gave us great instruction on that on our last afternoon team meeting.
having signs, being a listing agent really helped. I've gotten a couple really good closings this past year just from my sign, them
Yeah.
calling.
Excellent.
Those
Excellent.
three right off the top of my head.
So again, just a little homework. Where has your business come from the past? We don't have to run at 100 miles an hour. We're no longer on a runaway train. We're now slowing into the station. So let's get focused. All right. So now we get to leads. Yay, we're in part number 2. Is everything, we covered prospecting and marketing at a level where everybody was okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, good. So now we'll get into leads. So build your database in Command. We need to create and track opportunities. So do you have all of your pipeline put into the opportunities in Command?
Nope.
If you don't, now would be a great time to do that, because when we get free to leave our homes and start doing business, we're going to be back on the runaway train. So take the time now to create and track those opportunities that you have. It is exclusively yours and you can take it with you without any concern. So nobody's going to be involved in that. We in the office can't even see it, but it is going to be helpful for you. So utilize your custom smart plans. We already talked about the neighborhood nurture and the quarterly calls. Use the campaigns to stay on top of mind. All right, so we have our 19 to connect. Does anyone want to share any ideas? Anyone have, one of my favorite things is to use community events as my annual event. So when I was first in real estate and didn't have a lot of money, I had 6 kids, I drove a conversion van, right? So I was not flush as a starting out realtor. But our town used to have something called Festival on the Green every spring and every fall. I lived in a very organized community, and it had a downtown with a statue and a court area that was probably like a city block big. They called it the Green. It was a mini Central Park, a very, very mini Central Park. So it was where everyone gathered, and all the restaurants that surrounded this green area would put out a table and have food that they sold. So it called it Festival on the Green. They had it twice a year. All I did was buy balloons, call every person in my sphere of influence and tell them I would be the person with the balloons and to come and get balloons for their children. That was the biggest investment I had, was just balloons. And I can't tell you how many people appreciated that. The other thing I did, instead of renting a movie theater, and I have to have everybody, all my sphere of influence, invited to one movie that I sponsor, I would just pick a favorite movie. I remember one specifically was Remember the Titans that I did. I know I'm dating myself, but a nice feel-good movie. Don't take them to something, questionable, but a nice feel-good movie. And just call through your sphere of influence. If you only have $100 to spend, then you're going to buy 10 tickets and call through your sphere of influence until 10 people say yes. And then stop, because you only had $100, and go meet them at the movie theater and buy their ticket. Now, when you're in a movie theater, you don't talk to each other anyway, so you don't have to do a lot of planning. You just have to say hello, give them their ticket, say goodbye at the end. I got so much feedback from that. Some people would tell me multiple times they couldn't go, to the point where I just mailed them movie tickets and said, here, you and the boys go ahead and go to the movie. I apologize that you haven't been able to join our group. This is a really great event that can be done on a budget. So does anybody else have an idea like that they've used for one of these touches?
Well, right now you could have pizza delivered to somebody.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, that just came to mind. Surprise, enjoy your
toilet paper delivered, Amazon.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing a Zoom call. My sister-in-law does like that painting with a twist, and maybe having just like small amount of supplies delivered to clients that would want to go in, and then have like a painting party online.
I love that. That's fantastic.
What
was the guy? What's the cult guy? What's his name? Bob? What's the cult guy with the fuzzy hair that does the painting?
Oh.
What is his name?
Bob Ross. Bob Ross. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. There you go.
A Bob Ross painting party. We don't even need your sister-in-law. We could just play an old video of Bob Ross.
There you go.
Oh, that would be so fun. That's definitely.
There he is.
Video share.
Something's going on in our community here. I live in a 55 plus community, and I talked to one of the organizers. They're actually trying to get together and put cards together. Somebody needs medicine, it's going to be a red card. If somebody needs food, it's going to be a green card, that sort of thing. So I got together with him and I said, have you heard of this Zoom? And they hadn't. So we're going to try to attempt a community Zoom meeting at 5 o'clock in the evenings for about an hour for everybody just in this community to find out where their needs are and whether they need food or whatever it may be.
I love that, Don. And hey, we're all starting to be Zoom experts. Oops, Don, you're gonna have to.
No, that's Bob. We can get Bob.
Okay, sorry, Bob.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you might have to mute us or something. Yeah, so we're going to all become Zoom experts by joining our meeting 3 times a week. I hope that you're all getting to know the controls. Zoom is free for up to 100 people for 40 minutes. So start doing these small book clubs, any of it. I love Ben Whetstone from our Apollo Beach office is doing bedtime stories. He's reading Ernest Hemingway oh no, I'm sorry. Is it Hemingway? I think so. Hemingway right now. And it's being really well received. He's doing it on Facebook as a, kind of live video of him reading to the screen. And people are putting great comments in there. So get creative, get creative. Okay, so now we've got people from leads. They've kind of raised, they're a contact. They're engaging with us. So now what? Now they're a contact, they're going to get 36 touches. These are the people that are going to become your advocates. And anyone who you consider an allied resource absolutely needs to be on a 36 touch. So everybody starts with lenders and title companies and home inspectors. Okay, those are the 3 simple ones. Who has some other ideas of allied resources? I know I shared this in our last, I think it was in the last class I did. Find your best friend that loves to go to garage sales. Now, this isn't for right now, but in the future, they can become one of your biggest advocates and allied resources for new business. So just remember anyone that you do business with, someone who cuts your hair, someone who does your taxes, all of these people that their business depends on referrals, start referring to them and then let them know you expect a fair trade. You give them referrals, you want referrals. And you'll see how quickly you can build your business. All right, now we're in the cultivate stage, and you see that this is where the funnel kind of comes to the end, and I feel this is the place where agents just really mess up. We've got them converted from leads to contacts. All this automated stuff can happen. Now we've got to cultivate it. And how do we create the depth in that relationship to make them nurtured and qualified? All right, so we have 4 different possibilities, and they all can happen simultaneously or contiguously. It doesn't matter how they happen. But the first is, how good are you at sending thank you cards? And I was able to put that note on there myself. I care enough about you to send a personal note. That's what everything I get in the mail says to me that isn't from a business giving me a bill. I love to send cards. I love to receive cards. How are you doing with your personal notes? They are super, super powerful. The second thing is actually getting together with people in person. Now, this is not a picture for the COVID time, but maybe this is a Zoom call right now. How about if you invite a girlfriend that you know, Heather, this is for you. If you know any other mommies that are going crazy with the kids at home, say, let's have lunch together tomorrow. Sneak into a closet with your computer, eat some lunch with your girlfriend, and say, oh my God, we're going crazy, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's a bonding experience. And we're becoming Zoom experts. So take advantage of it, make some jokes with it. It's a way to really connect with people that are starving for connection right now. And, social media does not necessarily provide authentic connection. I think that's one of the dark side of social media, because it sometimes creates anxiety and strife in a community because of comparison, because of competition. People are going to be really hungry for genuine, authentic connection and communication. Now, when I say that, how's that hitting some of you?
I feel like I need it, and I have a large family. So
Yeah.
It's really hitting home, Lisa.
It's what?
It's hitting home. I've been actually reaching out to just friends, ask them how they're doing, if they need anything, if I can do anything. And, it's amazing the connections that I've, kind of reestablished, which I think is, it's a touch, but it's a genuine touch.
Yeah, we expect that they're probably busy or they've got their own thing going on. And I saw them on social media and they posted a bunch of roses and flowers and candy and acting like their life is perfect. And I'm kind of feeling like they couldn't possibly need anything. Well, the other name for Facebook is Fakebook. Okay. People, I think it goes one way or the other. Some people use Facebook to kind of floodlight their own despair. We've got those people. And then we've got people that are like, everything's always wonderful in my life. Like, I very rarely post anything about my marriage because I'm like, oh no, he's not the soulmate. He's not any of that stuff. He's just a good guy and we work it out and we stay together and that's what it is, And I think that in this environment, Facebook can actually separate people rather than pull them together. So those genuine, authentic conversations could be so, so valuable right now. Thank you, Jody. All right, now here we have the phone, and I could have a picture of her texting too, but I think if we looked at this in order, it would be like, okay, Patrice had this idea to send postcards consistently to her neighborhood, but now she's going to see them on a walk. She's not going to get together so close for lunch, but she's going to wave at them while they're walking their dog. Now let's have a follow-up phone call or a follow-up text message. And then lastly, go to social media and make sure that you are grouping your friends in so that you can get to them easily, because our feeds are being so manipulated by Facebook that unless you create a friend group, it's going to be really hard for you to find your customers. So make sure you have a previous customer friend group. So you make sure you check in with that every day. And Kathy, if you're still on, I would suggest that you put that on your calendar a couple times a week to check on specifically on your Facebook group of previous customers.
Great idea.
Thank you. And, again, I've learned this from myself. Of course, I've done it with agents, but I literally have a friend group of each of the offices in the Chadwick group. They're separate groups. And that way I can, participate with the people I care about instead of all this crazy, I belong to a lot of different groups. And, sometimes my feed just gets flooded, especially Facebook loves when you just friend someone. They'll give you a lot of their feed in the beginning. And I get a lot of random friend requests that I accept, but I really don't want them to flood my feed, if that makes sense. So you need to drive it. Don, yes.
I just got a text. This is kind of unique and it goes with this. My daughter-in-law, she's a community-minded person and loves people, and she's going to be a real estate agent with us pretty soon. What she did was set up a social distancing birthday party for one of the young girls who has terminally ill cancer. And you're going to see this coming up on Fox News. And what she organized was everybody who knows her, we all got in our cars, we all made signs that we hung out the side of our cars. And at a certain time of the day, which was yesterday at 2, we drove by slowly to her home and honked as she came out, and so she thought she was coming out for the mail. Well, the entire neighborhood stood on the other side wishing her a happy birthday. All the cars went by and drove. And this is something completely, thought through from other people who are trying to do this. So yeah, anything like this can turn into some sort of positive. And this young girl, when you see her, you'll see why it was so important for people to do this kind of participation.
Fantastic. And people really want to make a difference. If I can share one nugget that I think has really propelled me as both as a leader and as a realtor. I am not afraid to ask for help. I am not afraid to be vulnerable and say, I cannot do this without you. And a lot of people really shy away from that. They want to be the chest beating, I'm the hero, I'm the one that makes everything happen. And if you can just step away from that and come at it from, I need my community, I want to participate in my community, I want to make a difference in my community, whether that's just our office, that's just your family. The world is made of communities, and ultimately the world is a community. So how can we make a difference every day? And just going at it, your business just kind of goes alongside your life. And hopefully this slide helps you appreciate it's not complex. If you do these 4 things every day with systematically through the sphere of influence that you have, you will get a business you love. So any ahas from this slide? No? All righty, then we'll keep moving. Now we're at this bottom part, the appointment, active, under contract, and close. And I just want to see how we're doing on our time. Okay, we're doing great on time. Okay, so here we have another grid, and I'll slow down if anyone does want to take pictures of this at some point. It's not complicated, but we'll go through it at a decent pace. Okay, so the first thing you need is appointment. Right at the bottom of that, number 1 was we've got to have an appointment. So what happens in an appointment? The next thing is now they're an active buyer or seller. We had the appointment, they said yes, they signed a buyer representation agreement, or they signed a listing agreement. Now they are an active client, customer. And then they accomplish their goal. They go under contract, and then they close. So these are the 4 phases. After we get past, they are a contact, we want to take them to a contract. And we have these 4 stages. So does everybody agree that those are kind of the 4 stages that happen from contact to close?
Yes.
Yep, awesome. So what happens? Let's ask ourselves these questions, because again, I want this to be really, who said it in the beginning? Was that Tammy that said in the beginning, I want to get into action. I love going to the shift workshop. Who else on the call would like to get into action? Yay, Jody, thank you for the hand raise. That helps me a lot because I only have limited view of everyone here. Anyone else want to get into action? Patrice, you said you do as well. All right, so this is one of the things. Do you have an internalized buyer or seller presentation that you can deliver with confidence? Everyone, thumbs up if you do.
Yeah, that's the one on your site, Best Coach.
Yes, we actually have 2 new. I did prepare 2 new buyer and seller presentations that I think went out to each of you in email.
I don't.
So if you did not get it, let's talk. Send me an email and I will send it to you.
Okay.
Because I did do an updated buyer and seller presentation, as well as everyone knows you can contact Rachel Saylor, and she has the beautiful collateral buyer and seller presentations. But skilled navigation of the required documentation and the e-signature platform. So this is the other thing. When you have an appointment, you don't want to like lose your energy right when you're talking about, oh, I don't know. I think somewhere in here I have to, that's going to ruin your mojo. So right now, everyone has lots of time. Get in there and watch those boring videos on how to use DocuSign. Get in there and watch those boring videos on contract to close. Murray's got a wonderful Facebook channel that's loaded with information. Jody, I don't know if any of your classes, give me a thumbs up if any of yours have been recorded that they could take a look at on the contract. No, you haven't allowed yourself to be recorded. That's awesome. Doesn't matter. We have lots of other recorded documentation. And then
The next one is going to be recorded though.
fantastic.
We've just avoided it, but times are changing. So
I know. Well, and again, maybe you could do a Zoom contract class, and then at least people would have access on the calendar to get to it.
that's what we're shooting for.
Perfect. I love that. And then a customized marketing information and pricing strategies. So when you think about the appointment, think about how prepared you are for that appointment. I think that's where people go wrong. They do all this wonderful cultivate. They've been given lots of hints that those people in their sphere of influence are ready. And when they get the hint, they turn and run. Ah, my hair's on fire. I don't even know how to do it. I don't know nothing about birthing babies, right? You've got to have these 3 or 4 skills really nailed down, and it will show, because now when people give the hint that they're ready, you're ready too, and you take advantage of it. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Anybody think I'm full of it?
No, I think we used to mail actually either a listing or a selling packet before the appointment. So
Yeah.
we can go back that way too, because that still would be more of a personal marketing contact.
Yep. I have to tell you, I think if you email me or go in your email, you should have those buyer and seller presentations. I think doing it on Zoom is probably going to be better, only because I think this virus gets worse. People are going to be watching to not touch their mail either for a couple of days at least, because the virus can live on the mail for a while. So, or if they may eventually stop mail. I don't know what's going to happen here, right? It's very fluid. So a personalized marketing plan and a detailed SMART plan for the execution of your marketing plan. So maybe now while you're down, it would be a great time to start designing some of these. Again, use Tech Hub for a resource if you need it. Communication, isn't it all about communication? Everything, every relationship, especially those with our customers. And then a system for tracking your online marketing and showing feedback. And we all have showing time. We all have things like that we can use. But how nailed down is your active, are you calling your buyer or sellers each week? Is everybody making a call to their buyer and seller every week?
Are you talking about ones that are active?
Yeah.
Like right now? Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Yes.
Great. I
Yes.
have heard more times than I would like to admit as a broker from sellers that said, yeah, they listed my house 3 months ago and I never saw them. And now they want a price reduction and I want a new realtor. Some agents just are like, okay, I listed it. Now we gotta wait for someone to come. You have to be really, really proactive right now. Tons of communication. Keep closing the loop. And anyone who has a seller right now, in order to get ahead of them possibly wanting to take their market temporarily off market, I would absolutely be sending them any pending sales in their area as they happen. So like every week, every seller should get a report as what has come on new on the market, what has gone pending in their price point, and anything that has closed in their price point. And basically the message is business is still going on, business is still going on, business is still going on. Because if you let them just watch the news and you're not communicating with them, they're getting the message, the world is ending, everything is slowing down, everything is completely frozen, no one's leaving their home. And which message do we want them to hear in order to keep their home listed?
Well, we want them to know that we're here if they need to sell, whatever, because if they're panicking, they're going to need someone to talk to.
Yeah. But if you don't call them, do they consider you that person?
Nope.
Okay, so communication is key. Under contract, superior negotiating skills and thorough knowledge of the contract. Again, there are contract manuals out there. Spend some time, read it. You got time. Read the contract, highlight any questions you have. Use detailed contract to close checklist or use a transaction coordinator. You really want to make that a beautiful process for your buyers and sellers. And then superior negotiation skills and thorough knowledge of the contract. So this is your future referral period. And especially if you get a bump in the road, the way you handle that bump in the road is the way that that seller or buyer is going to remember you. They're going to remember that you didn't return their phone call because you were sticking your head in the sand, or they're going to remember you lost your cool because they were being unreasonable. This part of the process, this under contract part of the process, is where we lose a lot of our future business. And the interesting fold, the reticular activator, or as your grandmother used to say, birds of a feather flock together, right? So if I'm selling my house, anyone who's interested in selling a house or thinking about selling their house, they're coming and having conversations with me. So wouldn't you rather be the realtor that a seller is bragging about? My realtor calls me every week. She calls me every time a sale happens in our neighborhood. She calls me. He definitely keeps me informed with a written email once a week with all that I need, as opposed to the person at the water cooler like, yeah, I listed my house 2 months ago. I don't even know where my agent is. I think they're on vacation. Yeah, don't ever tell your sellers you're on vacation. Like, just you're going to be out of town, or you're going to have remote access. The minute you tell them that you're actually enjoying your life, they will have an emergency. So I might have limited access to my phone for a couple of days. That's my favorite. I'm on vacation, right? I might have limited access to my phone for a couple of days. So I have this alternate person you can call if you need something immediately. Otherwise, you can call and leave me a message and I'll get back to you at the end of the day, however you want to handle it. But telling people you're on vacation, it's like the kiss of death. It's like kids. Your kids will leave you alone until you get on the phone. And the minute you are on the phone, they have an emergency. And this is life. All right, any comments on the under contract portion?
I do.
Yes, Kathy, go ahead.
I had a listing and I talked to the neighbor, and he mentioned Sandy Hartman, and I don't know, 25 years ago, he said she gave me the best advice. He wasn't a realtor, but anyway, she said, I read the contract every day. And I think that is such a great practice, because you've got to know that contract. Every, date. I mean, it's just so important to know that contract.
And it changes.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
Yeah.
And there's different contracts. And I know just recently I said, oh, well, we have 3 days to respond to the repair request. And then I went back and read it. I don't know where I got that from. It must have been a contract that I used, in my past, because the as-is contract does not say that.
Right. You don't have it. Yes, I think the crisp, you just had to respond, and that was enough. Whereas in the FAR bar, you actually have to resolve everything by the end of the inspection period.
Yep.
And that's a big difference. All right, anybody else? Jody, I think you unmuted yourself. Do you have any comments on the under contract phase?
No, just going to agree. I mean, it's a great time to learn the contract, especially right now. I have, buyers that are freaking out. And being able to, recite what happens if A happens or if B happens from the contract makes me an expert in bringing something to the table. If I have to say, well, let me go look it up or let me ask somebody, I really don't have the same value. So, if there's some downtime right now, read the contract. I know it's boring. I know I'm a contract nerd and push this, but the more familiar you are with the contract, the more value you bring, the more of an expert you appear to be.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's no shame in not knowing, because people don't want your answer. They want the right answer. They want the correct answer. So although Jody is way more qualified than myself or a lot of other people because of his background as an attorney, don't feel like you have to know everything. So here's my favorite script, and Kathy, I've been sharing this for years, so you probably have it written on a card somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. Let me check on that and I'll get back to you. See, that's so much more powerful than I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. We don't, that's kind of starting to sound like your teenager, right? I don't know, right? But we also don't want to be that know-it-all that doesn't know it. So if you don't know, that's the sign of being a professional. You know what you know what you don't know, you know the difference between the two. And when you don't know, you will go ask or find the right answer from someone who does. And we have great resources in Jody and MREA and the Board of Realtors where we can access the right answer. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure. Let me look into that and get back to you. That's a great answer. And then any of our ALC, myself, MREA, Jody, we're all available for you. All right, moving on. Close. Prevent 80% of the problems and reduce the impact of the other 20%. There's always going to be a point, as I call an opportunity, where we can show our value. That's the 20%. And if you've been doing this a long time as a broker, you will discover there are several people who have always very problematic transactions. These are usually people that don't dot the I's, cross the T's, have the necessary conversations with buyers and sellers. So get ahead of everything by doing all the activities that we've done so far. And this is the way you do it. Communication, that nasty word shows up again. It really is a matter of constant communication. And then be the calm and knowledgeable guide with the goal of a smooth transaction. So this is those bottom four things: the appointment, active, under contract, and close. Does anyone have anything they want to add to these before we move on? Is this starting to give some clarity to that funnel diagram and give you some more depth to the words that you're seeing there? I'm hoping that's kind of the goal of this. All right, so I've highlighted a few things that I feel you need to know your contract. You have to have your presentations. People want to feel like it's customized to them. And then here's what you do after you close. We got through those really 4 important phases. Remember to put them back into your contacts. This is what's really kooky. People will close with someone, like, phew, glad that's over, and never hear from them again. Why are they not going back into your funnel as contacts where we get to do this all over again? So by a show of hands, everyone who had a closing last month, did you send a thank you note to your buyer or seller after closing? How many of you just said the 7 words you can't say on TV?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail.
Okay, so I hope that this workshop is valuable for you. We're really winding down, but you just see what I'm saying? everybody looks at that beautiful diagram and they don't understand the research that went behind it. And we really took a deep dive, and I hope I didn't bore you guys, and we'll take some feedback in a minute. But do you see, like, if you're really honest with yourself, we are in March. We are just concluding the month of March. We have done the first quarter. How many closings did you have this quarter? And how many people did you just walk away with the check? You haven't talked to them since. You never sent them a thank you note. You know better. The people on this call are all learning based. You all know better. Why don't we do it? Now's the time. We have the time to set up the systems. If you set them up in a smart plan that includes a thank you note, that something shows up on your calendar 2 weeks after the scheduled closing that says, call Lisa to say thank you and send a note to make sure she received your note. How powerful is that? And then we just start it all over. Go invite them to lunch next month. Make sure you put them in your friend group that you can follow them on social media and congratulate them on their home. Maybe you could even ask them, you know, Animoto provides a free stitching software, but anybody who has an iPhone or iPad, Movie Maker is awesome. Just take all the pictures. You can't use the MLS picture, so I highly recommend that when you go for the home inspection with your buyer, that you take pictures of the home and or go 2 weeks after they move in and take pictures of their home beautifully decorated, however you want to do it, and send them a video that they can share with their friends. And guess what? The last slide of the video is your contact information.
Could video of, could you repeat what you just said?
A video
Lisa?
of their new home. Or even better, if you have a seller, before they sell, before they take all their furniture out, and you took those pictures, make a video of the home and send it to them and say, just so you could remember your home. I'm sure you have many happy years there, or whatever this looks like, you know. We can use video now, especially if you have an iPad or iPhone. It's pretty slick, and you know, you can have the George Lucas Star Wars intro to their house or whatever, whatever suits your personality.
Okay.
But we start this cycle all over again. The minute they close, get them back in, treating them like a contact with lots and lots of contact with them. This is the problem. People are like, oh, they just bought from me 6 months ago. They're going to think I want to list their house again. So what? Yes, you do. You want them to, because here's the thing. If you're not keeping in constant contact with them, that's why that whole company, Constant Contact. If you're not keeping in constant contact with them, what if they lost their job and they have to sell? What if one of them got a job transfer and they have to sell? What if a couple's getting divorced? They bought a house to fix their relationship and it didn't work. People sell their homes 6 months after they buy in for tons of reasons. And yet we act like everyone's going to move in and stay there for 10 years. Good, I'll call you in 10 years. And you won't do that either. But does everyone see how this cycle right here has to constantly be in motion with everyone you know? So stay safe, have fun. Thank you for being here. Let's share your ahas from today.
I love that idea with the pictures, Lisa.
Yeah.
Especially for the buyers. I never thought about that. I thought about it with the sellers, but for the buyers, so they can tell people what their house is going to be like.
Yeah.
Great idea.
When it's under contract, you know, they can send it to them. Obviously, people are already doing it. You know what they're doing it on? Zillow. At the very least, send them to the page that has their home tour that's in your website. Create a landing page that has that listing on it. Don showed us how to do that yesterday. For every buyer that you have, create a landing page in Command that just has that one house that they bought with the MLS photos in it for now. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And send them there. You're giving yourself juice with every time they go there. No, you know what we do? We let them go to Zillow. Oh, Mom, you want to see the house we just put under contract? Boom, here it is on Zillow. Oh, Uncle Dan, you want to see this house we just bought? Here it is on Zillow. Stop. Give them the tools to celebrate that are your tools.
That is a great idea. And we already have the tools. I don't know about others, but my photographer has a video,
Right.
you know, that he has, and the pictures. I mean, we have it already if we have a professional photographer.
Yeah.
So when you say landing page, what are you referring to? I'm not quite grasping that.
Yeah, you weren't on our call yesterday, I guess, with Don, right? So within Command, everybody got a new website, which a lot of agents are complaining about because they don't understand the new consumer. But we all got a new website when we switched over to Command. And this new website, instead of being the old website, is here's Lisa with her doggy, and here's all this stuff about Lisa, and isn't Lisa wonderful, and here's a story about Lisa. Forget it. The consumer wants Zillow. They already told us they don't care what you look like with a feather boa and your glamour shot. They don't care. They want houses. And so our new website just has a consumer search as the first page. Then we have the ability to make multiple landing pages. And that's what Don showed us how to do yesterday with his new listing. He made his new listing its own page. So
Gotcha.
you
Okay.
can do that. You could even do the additional investment. I'll tell you, domains.google.com, instead of going to GoDaddy, you can buy a domain name on Google itself for only about $2 a year. So you could buy that address as a domain name, set it as a landing page in your Keller Williams Command, and just give that to your seller to share with everyone they know. Number one, it's going to help you sell the house because no one's more interested in selling that house than your seller. So they'll share it. It also gives you the ability, when you're sharing it in advertising, you're sharing it on your own platform and therefore creating more SEO for your website with these subdomain landing pages. Does that make sense? Techie person Don.
It's just doing it. It's not a matter of, I hear it, but it's like, okay, it's going to take 2 days to figure out how the heck to do it.
Bob recorded our call from yesterday.
Okay.
It was a half an hour call, and Don did the whole thing on that half hour call.
Okay.
So
thank you.
we're home. We're home. We're home. We're happy, and we want to learn a lot about Command. See, a jingle.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick?
You sure can.
Okay. I loved the Keller Williams app where you just pulled it up wherever you were and said nearby homes. And now we don't have that anymore. And has anybody else tried the new app? Because I'm so disappointed because I can't do that anymore. You have to specifically put in an address, and maybe I'm using it wrong. Does anybody have any feedback on that?
No,
enable your location, and once you enable your location, it'll open automatically with everything that's around you.
I wonder why I couldn't get it to do that.
It's
Okay,
in-
I'll talk to
In
you,
the
Bob.
office, if you'd like help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob will help you. So here's the thing, Kathy. It was probably with the registration. You have to give it permission to access your phone's location. And it feels a little big brothery, and sometimes we hit no. I think the old app never asked. I mean, but now, the laws are having a hard time keeping up with new technology. And so when they first introduced this honing device kind of thing, they just did it. And then the lawmakers said, hey, if we're going to use your phone's GPS, we've got to notify you that we're going to use your phone's GPS. And so that's what probably happened during the installation process. You probably had a big brother moment and said, no, I don't want you to know where I am. Sometimes I go places I don't want people to know. Sometimes I want to get away from my husband. That's why I leave my phone at home, you know. So yeah, that's probably what happened, because the new one absolutely has that feature.
And that app will annoy you to death if you don't have your location services on. Every time you touch the screen to do anything, it'll remind you need to turn your location services on. It's incredibly annoying if you don't have it on. So you should see a pop-up.
Yeah, it didn't do that, and I've tried it. But I'm going to get with Bob. He just texted me that
Bob,
to meet with him.
Heart Bob. We love you, Bob. All right. Anybody else? Any other ahas? So I'm going to do this class next week. If you don't mind if I ask your help. How did you feel about the pace and participation? And did you feel like you got a better understanding of that graph? Do you feel like you got a better understanding of that?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, we're going to see this a lot over the next weeks. You're going to see this in Shift and everything that we do. So it's just like giving a kid in kindergarten a calculator. It's great to have the calculator, but to understand the principle behind everything, I think really is rocket fuel to your business. So I just want to congratulate all of you for taking the time today. We will have afternoon team tomorrow at noon, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Any feedback before we go?
While I was sitting here, I texted my last closer, my last seller, and got her address because I didn't get her forwarding address at the time. So I'm good to put her in the contacts.
Good work. Good work. I'm glad we made a difference. I shamed you. You
did. You did, because you know what? We just get busy with everyday life, and we tend just to take things for granted, and we can't. So.
And if we systematize it, this is why I know we think we'll remember. We're like, oh, I'm never going to forget those people. And as a matter of fact, I got a call on Saturday, and I think I shared this on the afternoon team, and he was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. You sold my mom and dad a house, and his mom passed away in 2016. His dad died this month. And I said, of course I remember your mom. She was Nan at AOL.com. You know, like, thank goodness I just remembered these things about her, but I cannot tell you how touched he was that I remembered his parents. And I'm like, hey, how was your dad doing? You know, I know he was in a wheelchair, and, you know, he's like, yeah, he got better actually, you know, and he was just going to have some back surgery and passed away prior to being able to really get better. But, you know, it was a nice conversation. Well, just coincidentally, I remembered all that stuff, but now with Command, you can have that all in there as notes, and you can pull it up, and you'll have all those little details that really help show you remember them. So fill that up with as much information as you can. It will really help you in the future. I appreciate all you guys for being here. Thanks for all this long distance relationship. I'll give you all an air hug. Big hug to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. You're awesome.
Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.